In this episode, you will discover 5 simple steps to rediscover your passions so you can live a most fulfilling next chapter. Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention podcast, a podcast helping women in career and life transitions achieve clarity on their next steps so they can transform uncertainty into an energizing next chapter. I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of It's My Time Now Coaching. If you're wondering what's next in your career or life, you are in the right place. Through solo and guest episodes, you'll gain practical tips, tools, and inspiration to help you uncover blocks, gain confidence, and be, do, and have what you want. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another mini episode of the Midlife Reinvention podcast. As I mentioned on Monday's episode, this week is extra special. It marks our 4th anniversary, originally launched on International Women's Day in 2021. I can't thank you enough for sharing this milestone with me. If you're new here, this podcast is all about navigating life and career transitions in midlife. And if you've been with me for a while, I appreciate you more than you know. My hope each week is to remind you that you're not alone in your journey. A key question I often hear is, why bother reconnecting with my old passions? Midlife can be a strange time, that's for sure. You might feel restless, like something's missing, or excited to try something completely new. Passions aren't just hobbies. They're lifelines to renewed energy, creativity, and purpose. When I left my 25-year corporate role, I was both thrilled and terrified. But I started taking small steps anyway. The main thing I learned, you don't need a crystal ball to see the entire path. You just need the courage to tackle the first few steps. My own first step was launching this podcast without any idea whether people would even listen. Turns out, leaning into something that excites you can spark incredible momentum. One of the favorite parts of hosting this show is hearing from you. Not long ago, a listener in the UK reached out after an episode where I spoke about my mother and her journey from East Africa to Canada. She had a similar story. Her own mother emigrated under challenging conditions, relying on faith, resilience, and good old-fashioned hard work. That listener's mother became her everyday superhero, someone who overcame hardships and never stopped striving. Hearing that reminded me how we each have our everyday heroes around us, often in our own families or communities. It also highlights a really big truth. We are all dealing with transitions and triumphs, even if they look different on the surface. So let's now talk strategy. How do you actually dig up passions that feel buried? I would say there's a few things you can do. The first thing is to pause for reflection. Each morning, take a few quiet moments to check in with yourself. Ask, what did I once love doing? Or when did I feel most alive? Write down anything that comes to mind with no judgment allowed. Next thing you can do is track your green versus your red activities. For a week, note what those tasks which energize you, which are the green activities, and those which drain you, which are the red activities. Use that list to minimize the red tasks if at all possible, delegating them or adjusting your schedule so you have more time for what really lights you up. The next thing you can do is revisit childhood interests. Did you love performing, painting, building stuff as a kid? Sometimes passions stay hidden until you remember what once made you lose track of time. The next thing you can do is take a tiny first step. Don't worry about turning your passion into a moneymaker overnight. Do a test run, sign up for a class, volunteer, or spend an hour a week on your passion project. Let it evolve naturally. And the next thing is to find a support system. Share your ideas with at least one person who gets it. Sometimes that simple act of speaking your passion out loud changes everything. So, as you experiment with these ideas, I'd love to hear your stories. What resonates with you? What's one thing you're excited or nervous to try? Know that your experiences might inspire someone who's in the same boat. And if you have your own story to share or a question you'd like answered, email me at kavita@itsmytimenowcoaching.com. I'd love to feature what you're learning on or struggling with on an upcoming show. So, my dears and my friends, midlife isn't a dead end. It's a gateway to new beginnings, if you can let it be. A reminder that this show started because I wanted to rediscover my own passions. You have every right to do the same. So, honor your curiosity, take small steps, and remember, you might feel scared at first, but that spark you sense is pointing you towards something really meaningful. Thank you so much for celebrating 4 incredible years of the Midlife Reinvention podcast with me. Stay true to yourself, keep exploring, and let your passions guide you forward.